And greetings, salutations, and hey, of course, how your mom and them. Welcome to the latest edition of Far Reaches Extra. This is the one-on-one segment where we delve a little deeper into kind of off topics and conversations that sometimes lend themselves better to just one-on-one, kind of like prom night, and also just how our schedules match up and some of our passions. And so, joining us today on Far Reaches Extra is Mr. Kyle Marino of the Central Oregon region. And Kyle, there's many reasons why I thought about bringing you on to Far Reaches. Full disclosure, we've known each other for quite some time. Both survived to tell the tales on this side. But really, as I might have guessed, you're on here because of something you had nothing to do with, really. And what I'm going to get to is Kyle was diagnosed and had COVID-19, coronavirus, the Rona, as some might call it. And so, for me personally, we all hear a lot of, I think my cousin had it or knew somebody, like kind of like Ferris Bueller, like my best friend's boyfriend knew somebody passed out there doing flavors. It's pretty serious. But I actually know Kyle really well, and he told me a week or so ago that he had been diagnosed with the Rona, and I was like, well, man, I got to find out about this. So, Kyle, welcome to Far Reaches.
Good to be here.
Appreciate it, man. Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for taking some time out of your morning and letting us pontificate and delve into this a little bit. So, folks, for you watching at home, you're seeing this is what Kyle looks like on a good day too. So he's actually pretty bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Like this is normal. So nothing funner than talking to your good friend on the phone.
Your ADHD gets out of control.
I know. I try to blindfold all the other squirrels that are around, but as we well know, that doesn't work very well. So I just one of the folks that have not met you by chance. There's got to be several of them that this is what Kyle looks like on a daily basis. This is what his wife fell in love with. Lucky him. He actually looks a little sharper than sometimes I'm like, you're looking pretty sharp. You got the Canadian tuxedo going on up top. You got a nice little
perfect
I think goatee Ash Van Dyke thing rolling on. The fake glasses make you look a little more intellectual. Everybody appreciates that as well. So welcome.
Hey,
how you doing,
fake it till you make it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's got us this far, hasn't it? Yeah. So, why don't you kind of walk us through a little bit about you've had the Rona, where you're at in the process, I guess, and then kind of how it started and what you were like. And I'm sure deep down you're like, I don't want to go get tested for this, but kind of walk us through your experience so far.
Well, there's a couple things. You're right. Who wants to get tested for it? Who wants to be a statistic? Because, you can wake up every day, turn on the news, and that's all you hear. It's like the 24 news cycle. It's either the election garbage or COVID.
Yeah.
It's like we're at this, 10 months, 11 months now? And it's day in and day out. Yeah. February, March, when it started to really ramp up and everybody shut down, lock your doors, hide, bury your head in the sand like an ostrich. I'm like, we all got a little panic, a little nervous. Nobody knew what to think.
Well, yeah, the first numbers that came out were like, sweet Lord, this is just going to be like, Black Plague. And then,
exactly.
A couple weeks in, we're all kind of like, maybe? I don't think so. Yeah.
Is it sunny outside? Can I go outside?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nation of groundhogs. Yeah.
Exactly. For 11 months or whatever, it's been 10 months. So, we're all bound to get it at some point. I mean, no good. They're talking about how great a vaccine and blah, 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 blah. The reality is it's a virus. We're all going to get it. We're all going to face it. So I'm sure for some it's more challenging than others. For me, it was a Wednesday afternoon, evening. I got home. Like, man, I you kind of get that, I don't feel so shiny moment, and took my temperature. I was like, shit, it's 101. Well, better take some Tylenol. Take me a shower, hop on the couch, relax. Probably got a cold. I got 2 young kids, and they are in school. Not because of Oregon politics, but because private school, so I got to pay for that. And
twice.
So, twice. Yeah, it's a fancy bill a month, and along with the property taxes and all the other stuff I have to pay for. So, gotta love Oregon. And so I kind of, felt a little sick, a little hot. And, fine, I'll just hang on the couch and called my doc Thursday, next day, and I said, hey, I'm not feeling too shiny, but probably just a cold. And he says, you want to go get tested for COVID-19? You probably should. And I said, well, I don't really want to get tested for it. He goes, yeah, but you probably should, for the fact that anybody you're around, if you do test positive, you need to, do the right thing? I said, sure. So I wait till Friday morning, go get a test.
So Wednesday, you're kind of feeling craptacular. By Friday. And how long ago was this?
3.5 weeks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So, right before Halloween.
Oh, okay.
And,
yeah.
So
a couple of days later, you're still kind of feeling craptacular, and
I decided, well, what the hell? I'll go get a test. So, I make a phone call because he's already got it set up. I said, how you guys want me to do this? You want me to come in? You want me to call when I'm out front? Because if I got symptoms, I got a fever, I feel like a cold. It felt just like a cold.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, come on in. I'm like, well, if I'm positive, then I might just infect the whole area. No, that's right. They'll segregate you and put you in a room and blah, blah, blah. So I go check in.
You're used to that when you go somewhere. So.
Yeah, it's normal for me.
Isn't this how everybody checks into a hotel? Like, oh, well, anyways, yeah.
They don't segregate me because of skin color, I promise you.
Previous experience. Yeah.
I do lick the doorknobs once in a while.
Safety always. Yeah.
Yeah. So then they check me in, take my temperature. Oh, you got a temperature? I'm like, yeah, thanks. I already knew that before I got here. That's why I called. Try to do the right thing. So they send me back outside. Said, what vehicle are you in? I said, I'm in that Ford white pickup right there. All right, we'll come test you there. So after I walked in, contaminated everything, even though I had a mask on, they send me back out the door. 15 minutes later, this guy walks out, all gowned up, blah, 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 sticks a giant Q-tip up my nose, blah, 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 and away I go. So that was Friday morning, about probably 9:30. Saturday afternoon, I get an email from a doc, and he goes, hey, the preliminary results say it's negative. You got a cold, but we're going to treat it just as if it's COVID-19. He said, it's just a preliminary, but it's negative. So I'm like, man, all the kids have been in school. It's flu season. You're bound to get sick. When you got booger pickers walking around touching everything, it's just going to happen.
Little petri dishes. So,
walking petri dishes. That's a fact. So I'm like, okay, fine. And I thought no big deal of it. Sunday afternoon, I get a call from the lab. I don't know if we want to use their name or not, but
probably not. Yeah, that's okay.
I didn't think so. And so they said, oh, Mr. Marino, your COVID-19 test came back positive. I'm like, well, that's interesting. Okay. So I get off the phone with them and turn around and call my doc, and he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, they just called me and said I'm positive for COVID-19. I said, how's this possible? You just told me yesterday the preliminaries were negative. He goes, I don't know. I can't explain it, but we have to go with it. He goes, I don't even have the final report. I won't have it for a few days. I said, okay. And he said, so now what? He goes, just take vitamin D, zinc, Mucinex over the counter, ibuprofen. Everybody in the beginning can't take ibuprofen. It's, that's really bad for this, blah, 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 blah. He says, take ibuprofen for the fever and a little NyQuil if you need it at night. Okay, son, whatever. See you later. He goes, if you feel like you have breathing issues or anything goes wrong, go to the hospital. Okay, pretty common sense. He goes, and your family's probably all going to get sick. I'm like, oh, that's handy.
That's right. You got the wife, 2 kids running around the hacienda as well. Yeah.
And and then he tells me, he goes, I need you to quarantine in your house and in a room for the next 2 weeks. I said, Doc, I have a 1,300 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath little house out in the country. How am I going to quarantine? I said, it's tiny.
Yeah.
I said, I don't live on a mansion on the hill, so I can't just throw myself.
I'll be in the West Wing the rest of the week. Yes. Put my meals on the golf cart and drive them down to me. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, well, just do the best you can. I'm like, okay, thanks. So that was kind of it. I mean,
so what was your protocol, if I may ask? Did you just try to stay in the bedroom maybe, or your office or something?
No,
or just by
so
that point, everybody had been surrounded by anyways. And
at that point, I was already sick by the time I got the results.
Almost a week, right? Yeah, 5 days.
5 days. Yeah, 5 days. And I was like, well, I'm just going to camp on the couch. That's where my TV's at. So, I mean, if you're going to be sick, you might as well just hang out somewhere. And I'm like, well, my wife's got to work and blah, blah, blah. And, might as well let her get a good night's sleep. And so I camped on the couch. That's kind of where I spent. I threw my bedroll out on the living room floor once in a while because you can only sleep on a couch so damn much.
Especially when you have anything wrong, really. It's more of like self-imposed. Yeah.
Exactly. And I do that, there is a hangover on occasion.
So you're talking about, this is a difference between the Rona and a brown bottle flu. There is a difference. Okay.
Well, they say there is. I don't know. I feel the same each time I tried it.
Good science is based on repeatability, and well done, sir. Well done.
Yeah, well done. I feel like I got a hangover. Dang it.
See?
So that was, So that was kind of it. You know, you get a little bit of that anxiety. You're like, oh my God, Jesus, my family's gonna get sick. You're like, now what? You know, and so you just kind of go, well, we'll take it as it comes. I mean, what else you gonna do? You can't panic at that point. And so you just kind of hang out. You check your temperature, take some Mucinex, take your vitamins in the morning, and watch TV. Good news, the election was on. So about 4 days of that, I got really tired of that crap.
Oh yeah, that'll get you up and walking, won't it? Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
That'll raise the dead. Yeah, literally, no pun intended with jokes or votes or anything like that about raising the dead. I apologize. Yeah, not very.
Only in the Biden campaign.
Not really. That was like a really subliminal, backhanded joke. I'm kind of proud, to be honest with you. Yeah,
that was pretty good. Yeah. Not bad.
So, if somebody hadn't told you had the Rona, would you have thought you did, or you just like have a cold?
I just thought I had a cold. I mean, in my typical protocol, if you will, if I get a cold, is I stay home. Mm-hmm. It's not. I want to get over it first and foremost. I don't want it to linger. I don't want to spread it. But you know, at that point, you're like, I'm sick. I'm not feeling good. I just want to stay home, get over this crap, and get out of here. I got to get back to work. Got stuff to do. That's always been my protocol. Sure. You know, mostly I'm in sales, so I deal, with a lot of people, and you don't want to go spreading crap around if you know you're sick. And
I agree. I think you hit on a key point there. It's like, we just want to get it stopped, internalized, and controlled as quick as possible and take as best care of ourselves as we can. If we ever have a choice. I mean, we've all had to go to work sick because we didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
And I agree. That does linger it. It definitely not good for everybody around you. So if you have the chance, hey, stay home, you hunker down, fluid up as much as possible, rest, just kind of recharge, I think that's the basic protocol, but it's voluntarily usually.
Yeah. I mean, and that's how I've always done it my whole life. It's just like, all right, if I got to do something and I got to meet with somebody somehow, I'll try to do it on the phone, or if for like my sales job, I do have to, load things up and take care of some customers, and, I let them all know it's no big deal. And they're like, we don't care. Typical rancher, like, I'd be fine.
Yeah, that's true. You deal with the ranching community quite a bit. So yeah, they're like, there's enough 8-way and Banamine or whatever else in me already that I really don't care. So.
Yeah, I've been vaccinated for the last 35 years.
Towards the end, my uncle's eyesight was going downhill. I got more shots than I think the calves did. That's another story. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you just kind of you do your best you can. You deal with the customers and the business aspect. You let them know, and you stay home. And so from that point on, like I said, on the Sunday, well, there's 2 phone calls on the Sunday. We'll get to the second one later.
Yes.
And so you kind of just sit there. The best part about kind of the whole joke of that Saturday when I got the preliminary reports, my wife called her doctor, or the guy she works. She's a vet tech, I should say. She called her boss and she goes, boss, my husband's sick with COVID. I can't come to work. And she runs the clinic. She's like the backbone of the clinic. Yeah. And she's like, and he's like, what? Oh God. And he starts having a panic attack.
Yeah. He's the one that's freaking out. Yeah.
She goes,
secondhand Rona impact. Yeah.
Yeah. She goes, I'm just screwing with you. His test came back negative. No big deal. It's, the preliminaries and so forth. So I'm like, you shouldn't do that. So there was 3 phone calls on Sunday. One from the lab, one from the county, which we'll get to, and the third one was to my wife's boss. Who had
remember that funny thing I said yesterday?
Yeah.
Well, long play on the joke here. Sorry, it's me. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So you just kind of, like I said, plop on the couch, hang out. My wife ran around with if you can get them Lysol wipes and Clorox spray. She's like, holy crap, blah, blah, blah. Just calm down.
Put you in a little sleeping bag of Clorox blankets, probably. Yeah, just
yeah, it was expensive, but we got them. And so then that month, we'll talk about the second phone call. We'll get to the county thing. You want to unless you want to dive into that now.
Well, let's just talk about your sickness and your health. It's not marriage vows. Just a little bit more, and then we can totally shift gears, I think, to the other side of this conversation.
Okay.
But so it's been 3.5 or 4 weeks now. Are you pretty much, I'm going to say these words out loud, back to normal, or whatever?
if you could ever call me normal, yeah.
There's a lot of pre-existing conditions we're talking about here, but like as far as your health-wise from the COVID symptoms, are you everything back to normal and up and running, or what's your analysis on that?
So I'm back up and running for the last. I stayed home for 2.5 weeks. One of the things my doc said was he didn't want me to go out unless 4 days after my fever went away, unassisted. I mean, no medication.
Yeah.
So the symptoms of it was basically a head cold with a cough, and now it wasn't a big old fancy bronchial deep cough. Holy crap, my lungs are filling up, pneumonia kind of stuff, because I've had that before. And and it, where you're up all night, you can't breathe, and you're coughing. It was not like that. It was nothing like that. It was just a little head cold. The fever was more of the pain in the butt, and it wasn't a bad fever. It got that first couple of days 100, 101, take some ibuprofen in an hour, boom, it down to 99.2, and it kind of just hung out there. I think I might have took ibuprofen 4 or 5 times, not in 2 weeks.
Did you have your sense of taste and all of that? Did that stay with you, or did that go bye-bye?
That stayed with me till about 6-7 days into it. And 6-7 days into it, since a couple things here. When you get sick, you usually don't have an appetite. You're not hungry. You force yourself to eat because you need some nourishment and you stay hydrated because of the fever. But the interesting thing was I didn't lose an appetite. I ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Even with losing smell and taste.
Which happens a lot of times if you get a cold, or at least with me, a lot of times you can't taste much of anything.
Correct.
Kind of like that real peak of your sickness. You're just kind of like you said, I know I need something because I haven't eaten today. And we're both high performance machines. We run on premium. So you got to keep the system fueled. So some people really freak out about the no taste or smell. I'm like, that happens a lot. And like you described, it's kind of a head cold. So it's I think that, and we said at the onset too, this definitely affects people differently, as we've well heard. And I think some people who you think it wouldn't impact at all, it doesn't. And other people, like I have a relative who's not exactly always on top of the world, and he had it, and apparently he's back out of the woods as far as I know. But it sounds like was just pretty much a cold that you would have kind of dealt with in a typical manner as it is.
Yeah, I know guys that the running a joke forever is like, everybody's like, does anybody know anybody who's actually got COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. Yeah, you always just hear about somebody over there, or you just see these numbers everywhere, and you're like, man, you think randomly we would know somebody directly given the percentage. So finally it's come true almost 10 or 11 months into this deal.
Exactly. It's the people I've known that have got it, but they weren't my neighbors or my buddies right here. One guy was 65. He didn't even have zero symptoms besides he was tired.
Yeah.
He said, I'm tired. And I was like worn out. And he went to the doctor and they tested him. Boom. He had COVID-19. They put him in a hospital because he was 65 on oxygen and air, blah, blah, blah. 3 days later, went home and they said, here's antibiotics. See it. You'll be fine. And he got over it. And his wife didn't get it. So,
which is even more interesting. Says that brings up a point. So your wife, kids, everybody's hammered down.
So hammer down, but Monday, because they can't go to school now because I'm positive for COVID-19. Now I'm a statistic, which everybody just loves, and my wife can't go to work and blah blah blah, and her boss is panicking because she's the backbone of the operation there. I mean, she does everything, and so they got to go get a test on Monday. Now that would Monday would put them 5 days, and according to my doc, 5 days is the average incubation period. Fair enough. So. Turns out it's not that easy to get a COVID-19 test everywhere, unless you have unless you have a doctor who sets it up for you, or you can make an appointment, which may take a day or 2 or 3. Or one clinic told my wife, they said, we don't want to see it to 7 days after you've been exposed, and you'll get your results 7 days later. My wife said, no, that's not going to work. I can't be out of work for 14 days if I'm not sick.
On a what if,
on a ifs and buts and candy and nuts kind of thing. I'm like, it'll be a Merry Christmas. So she finally finds a place that she can go to, takes the kids in, and kids can quote unquote get it, but they're pretty much immune to it, even with all the statistical data. So they all get tested. They're all negative. So I'm thinking, all right, they're not out of the woods, but they're negative for now.
What day was this they finally got in to get tested?
It took her till midday Monday to find some place to
but it was Monday. Okay. Yeah.
It was Monday. And so by Tuesday, one of my kids, his test came back negative in the morning. By Tuesday afternoon, the other one, hers came back negative Wednesday. So it's like, well, okay, perfect. They're not sick yet. Everybody's like up to 21 days or 14 days or blah, 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 blah. Well, here we are 3.5, 4 weeks later, whatever you want to call it. And nobody's sick. Nobody got sick except for me. So I was like, well, if this thing's so damn contagious, I live in a 1,300 square foot home. All should have it.
You're a robust individual. You're man, you walk into the room, people know you're there. So you're not like sneaking around the house. Like,
yeah.
If I think of the high impact individual in a home, it's you. So yeah, it wasn't like, have you seen dad around? No, they know when you're there. Yeah. So
correct.
Yeah.
Nobody got sick. Nobody got sick. Nobody I knew of, and I had to make some calls. Just do the right thing. I mean, why do we need the media to tell us how to wash our hands and what to do is right? I mean, what happened to common sense in this world? Holy cow!
It's not very common, as Mr. Will Rogers, I believe, said. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, glad to hear that the family's all well. That nobody you were in contact with inadvertently before you kind of got diagnosed was all well. Also.
Here's the kicker though on this little nobody got sick thing. So that Sunday prior, so I got sick on a Wednesday. That Sunday prior,
Sunday before.
Sunday before. So theoretically, I was infected already. So Sunday before, me and a cattle buyer buddy, and I won't mention his name, we're out looking at cattle on a ranch with the rancher, and they were in my truck, and we were looking at cattle, having a good time. We're sitting around BSing. Might have had a cocktail. Might have needed a bottle of water to mix with that whiskey, which, okay. Actually. He says to me, he goes, "You got any water?" I said, "Yeah, I got this bottle of water in the back here, and it's almost full, but yeah, I drank out of it." And he looks at me and goes, "You got COVID?" I said, "Hell no, I don't got COVID." Mixes a whiskey and pours a little water in it because that's the only water we had. Typical cattle buyer rancher mentality. If anybody should have got sick, it should have been him. 6 hours in the truck, 2 feet away.
Yeah.
It's never got sick.
So that was one of my questions for you also, is given the fact that you had a negative test to begin with, and then somehow by the miracles unknown yet to us, you came back as a positive a little bit later on, and then nobody else in the family had any symptoms or anybody else. What's your opinion on, did you just have a cold maybe and somehow you got listed as positive, or how I suppose it's hard to speculate on that, but
yeah, the only speculation I got on that would be 6-7 days in, I lost my taste and smell. I didn't lose it for a day or two. I lost it for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah. So probably a bit more than a normal.
Yeah, cold. It would be more than normal. I mean, and I didn't just lose it. Like, when you're sick, like we were talking earlier, your taste buds really aren't working all that great. Your sniffer's not working all that great. In order to taste stuff, your nose has got to work. So, I mean, that's a pretty common theory. So the reason I kind of know is, or I can guarantee I lost my taste. You ever brushed your teeth and never been able to taste the toothpaste?
Not to my knowledge, no.
I couldn't taste toothpaste for 4 days. For 4 days,
literally like somebody toothpaste. Just turned it off. Like it was just completely like you don't have that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No. You could feel the foaming and you brush your teeth. I'm like, holy crap, I can't even taste this.
I would actually like that at times if you could just do that when you're brushing their teeth. Yeah. My favorite toothpaste so far is still Bubblegum Sesame Street at Mrs. Houchin
exactly.
For Christmas.
Yeah.
But
my kids have that again, and I use it once in a while.
Yeah. Because toothpaste usually just not pleasant, especially if you've had coffee or other products in the morning prior too. Yeah. Anyway, so you're, in your opinion, yes, you did have the Rona as far as you can tell.
That's the one thing that makes me say yes.
Yeah.
Because for no more the symptoms I had besides a common cold, it says just shut that light switch off and lose your smell and lose your taste, all in a matter of wham. That they say that's a big symptom to guarantee and blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, I don't know. I didn't end up in the hospital. I didn't have all these other problems. Again, it affects everybody differently. But the scare factor of everything that's gone on for the last 10 months,
Yeah, I don't watch the news. I'd say it very rarely. Only time I will if I inadvertently walk into somewhere where it's on. Like some friends I'm staying in their bunkhouse right now, they watch the news. And so I walked in one afternoon or evening, and the graphics alone that come up on the screen about the coronavirus, like there's like skull and crossbones and shit in the background, like red. And it's like, you'd think like a nuclear bomb had just been dropped. And I was like, does that not affect how you think about this in the most remote way? It's just like,
it does.
It's the, I'm like, it just boggles my mind. So yeah, that's hard to fight that off, especially when you've been diagnosed also.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Then, you know, anxiety hits a little bit. You're like, oh, good God. And what now? And you just go, calm down, take it easy. It ain't that big a deal. Yeah.
All is well. Yeah.
And that was kind of it.
Well,
except for.
Yeah. Let's circle back to this, because I'm sure there's some folks driving down the road cussing me because I haven't got back to this second part yet, which, you know, and this is a little more in the weeds, if you will, but you mentioned there were several of these phone calls on that afternoon when you got the positive notice from the lab. So why don't you unpack this a little bit for us, and we can kind of go march down this road for a while.
So it turns out that the county, the state I live in, lovely rural Oregon, once you get tested and turn out to be positive, some information that's your personal stuff gets sent to the county health department.
Outstanding.
And now I got some third party, let's call him an auditor, knocking on my phone, or, you know, calling me.
Yeah.
And wanting to walk me through COVID-19 and wants to talk to me and traceability and this and that. And the first call I got, I'm like, I don't even know that area code. That's a 458 something. That's not even in the state of Oregon.
So it was outsourced? Is that what you think then?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So the second call came in a couple hours later. So I got two calls from the county.
Yeah.
The second one, I'm like, well, that's the same damn phone number, so I'll probably answer this one, or at least the area code was.
Yeah.
And poor fella that answered the phone. Hopefully this poor guy.
He's probably picking up pop cans along the road by now for a different job.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess.
For most people that don't know me, I'm a fairly conservative character. And,
character being a key word here. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a big government fan, overreach. Kate Brown, big brother, big sister, I'm going to get in the middle of your life kind of garbage. I'm more of a free will, let me do my stuff, stay the hell out of my life kind of thing. You know, I'm not breaking any laws. But then again, every law was meant to be broken. That's why it would have been placed.
Pushed really hard. Yeah. But so you get a call from the health department the same day you've got your positive test back.
Two hours later.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's got to be quite the shock to the old Sister Rooney. Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy wants to start asking me a ton of questions. And he has got my phone number, my email, and my home address. And I don't know this Joe, Tom, Dick, and Harry from anybody. And he's like, well, we need to do some traceability. We need to, you know, talk you through this. We need to make sure that, you know, everybody you've been in contact for the past X amount of days, you know, is contacted. So blah, 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 blah. And I said, all right, let me tell you how this is going to work. This is how the cow eats the cabbage, buddy. I'm not telling you shit, nor can you make me.
Yeah.
And it's none of your damn business to dive into my personal health and who I was around. I'm not giving you phone numbers. I'm not giving you names. I'm not giving you anything. So this is a pretty bad spot for you to be in. Well, he goes, you know, what's my job? And I got to do that. I said, well, just speaking of your job, where's this phone number you're calling from? So I live in Central Oregon, and he's like, it's a Bend phone number. I've lived here for 13 years. I can tell you anything you want to know about Bend, Oregon. I said, so can Google.
Yeah.
And
seems a little defensive, for like that's almost like offering too much information. Like, what? Like,
yeah.
What do you care where I'm at? Yeah.
And he goes on to tell me, well, there's 20 of us in the county, and they gave us all these phones that we use. They're cell phones, I'm assuming, working remotely. And they all come up with this 458 number. I said, yeah, where the hell's that at? Well, I don't know. I said, well, you might need to know that because I don't know you, and I'm not answering your questions. This is for me and my physician and who I choose to let in.
Yeah.
I said, you ain't in, so you could pound sand. So he went on with the old salesman tactics of, well, do you know more about it than I do? And, you know, maybe you can enlighten me and this and that. And I said, I'm not telling you what I do for a living. It's none of your damn business, buddy. What do you not understand? I can't help it if you chose a bad career. You might want to rethink who you're trying to call.
Yeah, and a good day to you. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And thanks for using the Far Reach's official catchphrase, "Go pound sand," too. We really appreciate that. Spreading the Far Reach's word. Yes. So.
Yeah, but it was about a 20-minute conversation, and
wow.
One way basically, because
yes.
he tried everything under the sun, and he goes off to say, "Well, I have to send you a letter." I said, "Well, send me a letter then." "Well, I can email it to you." And he said, "What's your email?" And I said, "No, that's the wrong one. I don't have that one anymore. Why don't you just use the good old-fashioned Pony Express?"
Yeah.
And okay, fine. "Well, you have a good day, sir." I said, "Yeah, don't call me again. Thank you." And they sent me a letter. And it was pretty much a form letter. It tells you what you should and shouldn't do with COVID-19. Don't touch your dog. Don't pet your dog. Don't touch this. I'm like, oh, my God, what is wrong with society? And I looked at that letter and I just said, if people are that dumb.
We should thin the herd.
Yeah, exactly. We really need to thin down, because since when did people stop thinking for themselves and how to take care of themselves? I don't know. Maybe I was raised differently. Maybe I learned how to
certainly
survive.
Because that's definitely the Kool-Aid that's being passed around most places. Is somebody else's problem to worry about you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to your knowledge, did you ever give your information out to anybody, consent to saying, "Hey, yeah, have some a-hole from the county call me"?
To my knowledge, no. To my knowledge, no. I never okayed my private medical records to give out to some third-party entity in the county. You know, we all know state and county track diseases and sicknesses. They always have there for a long time, but they've never got down into this personal level with somebody contacting you.
Absolutely. It could be male, age range, blah, tested positive. I mean, that's really all you need for statistics.
Correct.
County level, lives in this county, he's in this age range. And I guess we shouldn't even talk about gender anymore, but I'm still old-fashioned. I learned science and shit. There's two. So fall into the male category, for the best of my knowledge. No confirmation, but no reason to doubt you.
I got two
either, sir.
I got two kids, and my wife says they're both mine. What am I
So you say, sir. Yes. So, no. But yeah, it's like, that's all you need. Yeah, exactly. Congratulations for doing the right thing. You always wonder why UPS packages show up early. Anyways.
Yeah. God, he's here a lot.
So, yeah, they got way more information than obviously I think anybody agrees is necessary. And then the fact that there's that phone call and everything else. I mean, that seems like a violation of HIPAA to some degree.
A phone call until you answer.
Yes. Yeah, so, either selling you a car warranty or calling you about your Rona, one of the two.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so I got to thinking, and you and I have talked a little bit about this, and it took me a bit. I'm like, my kids go to school, and when there's a lice outbreak at school, they can't tell us what classroom, they can't tell us what grade, they can't tell us anything because of HIPAA laws.
Yeah.
But yet, my HIPAA laws, or my personal information, was given to a third-party auditor, let's call him, investigator, and no concern for my personal privacy. And I don't believe that's legal. I mean, I'm no scholar, no legal scholar.
They're operating under this ultra heavy-handed thing about a national or a state health emergency and the P word, pandemic, if you will, which I don't think that's any reason for losing your rights, for one.
Correct.
And if they can do it for this, I just as soon think they can do about it like, hey, you fat bastard, you're probably going to have diabetes. So, we know where you ate and all this. And so, we're going to come correct you. It sounds sort of Orwellian. It's sometimes like 5 years ago. Think about it. 5 years ago, if this kind of shit had been like, hey guys, guess what's going to happen in 2020? We'd have called you out of your gourd. You'd be in the I Love Me jacket down there in Salem somewhere. And here we are, living right through the middle of this chaos.
And I think people are so willing to give that up. And I'm not willing to give that up. I've actually contacted an attorney. I'm waiting to give him to give me a call. Because the more I think about it, it's garbage. I don't care if there's an executive order by the governor or by the president of the United States. It does not give them the right to void my personal private rights and my rights as a U.S. citizen. They don't have the authority to do that. Now they can try their best to circumvent that, which we all know they've been doing forever. But I'm gonna try to take it a little farther just to see where this goes.
Be very
I'm not,
curious if it
yeah,
falls on the lab for releasing it or goes back up the chain further from there, because obviously there's some directive, quote unquote, they're operating under to do
yeah,
that. But a person goes to their doctor with that thought of confidence, confidentiality, because it could be anything else too. We joke about social diseases and all other sorts of things, but I mean,
yeah.
it could just as easily be that, like, hey, you got gonosyphil herpes, so we're going to paint an X on your door and congratulations, like,
Yeah,
where does it go?
exactly. Where does it stop? It doesn't, and
Yeah,
that's
like
and
they hand you a
I
pamphlet
think
and a shot when you leave and you go look it up. So I hear. So why wouldn't they do that with this? Like, seriously.
I that's what was mind-boggling. I mean, and the speed in which they do it.
I also
So
have to think too that they're actually being more detrimental, I think, to the system, as in, like you said, I'm not telling you shit, mister. So if it wasn't a system where you felt like that, if you'd opted into it, you'd feel, I think, a lot more comfortable giving the people you'd been in contact with that information. Like, if this, I'm going to say this out loud, if this was truly like emergency pandemic shit, like, and I use the example of, hey, a train wreck down the road with chlorine gas, keep your ass in the house. And if anybody was in
yeah,
assistance, you got to let us know. Okay, we can do that. This, I don't think qualifies for that, even
agree.
remotely. And so I think this is a great test for what we could see later on, and just how messed up we currently are, I think.
Well, and I don't recall signing anything. Now, did
Yeah.
I look close? I just walked in. They gave me a swipe of the temperature and said, "Yeah, you got a fever. You need to go outside." I don't recall signing anything. Now, that being said, I could have, but I don't think so.
Even
Either
if
way,
you should have been
if
pointed
I
out very
did,
clearly.
exactly. Yes, that
Like,
this should have been like bold letters, and the gal behind the counter should have said A, B, C, and D will
a
happen.
whole separate page.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
here's our,
and they did.
yeah.
Because
Yeah,
when you are sick, you don't really look at the details anyway. You're
I'm
just
here to
like,
see
I
my
just want to get
doctor.
over
Yeah,
this.
I know I
Yeah,
really can't see you if you kill me because you're just trying, but it's sort of like the Apple agreement you get every 2 days. You're like, agree, let's go
yeah,
on, and
yeah.
so at the very last sentence they put, oh yeah, by the way, we're going to broadcast your name and status all across. I'm not going to sign that one probably. So
Yeah, no.
I
And if I'd have known that, I wouldn't have signed it. I said, no, not happening.
yeah,
But we're going to see where it goes. We'll see if I can get anybody to bite on it, to see if they're willing to take it. I'm still working at it because to me, your civil liberties are very important and your civil rights are important. And if they can't tell me what grade or what classroom some kids got lice in, but send all the booger pickers home to infect the house. Now, granted, lice doesn't kill anybody. I get that. It's simple as that. But yet the HIPAA laws prevent them from saying anything. Yet this, I get some third-party investigator who wants to do all the phone call work for me.
yeah.
And for all those who are listening to this podcast, yes, I contacted the people I thought I needed to contact. The rest of them, I didn't. Did none of their
On your
business.
own, yeah. And that guy, to circle back, that person on the phone said there's 20 of us that have these phones that are doing this in that county alone. So think about the cost to our to your society, all of us at whole, for that. I'll use the word in heavy quotations, service. That blows my mind. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, and it rotates. I mean, if I didn't answer the first message was a female and I didn't answer, the second one was a guy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to call you and they're going to hound you till you answer the phone. I mean, that's their job, to just keep it going until you answer. So to me, again, your civil liberties and your civil rights are way more important than some third-party county guy who thinks he's got the right to butt into your business because he's got some sort of authority and a job he decided to take from the governor. I'm like, really? OK Brown has messed up things quite a bit around here. And I think people are starting to get pretty leery and wary. I mean, 10 months of this nonstop, day in and day out. You watch the local news every morning. You turn it on. I'm just looking for the weather.
Yeah, and there's just a banner the whole time. Yeah, and updates. And
they started off here. They started off here with how many people in the county, which would be Deschutes, Jefferson, and Crook, are infected. They say we got X amount of cases in each county. Blah blah blah. So many people died in the state. Every day. At every half hour, every hour, you hear this. And I shake my head. I'm like, it's time to move on, people. This is just, and people get
Well,
all wound up about it. They get overwhelmed by it. And, the
it's a
confrontations
paralysis
that
from
go,
analysis,
yeah,
man. Yeah, like
yeah,
recall a few years ago, if you will, with the H1N1 or the swine flu or whatever. Do you remember hearing anything hardly at all
no.
about that shit? Like,
And that killed kids.
yeah, exactly. Like, one of my buddies got a nickname swine flu because it was just in the
Yeah.
air, literally, but we didn't know anything about it. We didn't hear anything about it. We sure shit
Yeah.
didn't shut everything down and run and go light our houses on fire.
Correct.
And again,
and if anything, that was the one that kills kids.
yeah,
I mean, it destroys. I mean, just kills them. And we didn't panic about it. We didn't shut the country down. We didn't do all these things. Don't get me wrong. I agree with some of what one politically went on in the beginning because we didn't know much about it. But here we are. We're on the cusp of a vaccine, quote unquote, by 3 different companies.
I think, and we've talked about this even before offline, but when we all first heard about it, we heard about the numbers and what it's going to do, and we're all like, holy sweet buckets. Okay, let's stay home so we can help kind of remember it was to quell the wave of sick people coming to the hospitals. That was the initial thought. And I remember saying to some of my friends and other folks, I'm like, man, if this stuff is what it is, like the homeless population is completely done for because they're living like usually really close, probably not the best nutrition. If you want to think about a group that's at risk at large, I would think almost would have been wiped out in the first 2 weeks. And so we kind of all held our ground. In a week and a half or two in, we're all kind of looking around like
they're still panhandling.
It should have been freaking back to green flag racing. Like, look, kids, we overreacted out of abundance of caution. We thank everybody for your cooperation. That's why we're the greatest country in the world. Turns out it's not near as bad as we anticipated. Wash your hands. Stay home if you're sick. Don't be up in somebody's grill unless you know them that well. Go back to go. Sorry, thank you much. Only a test. But I think, as one of my professors used to say, never give a nerd authority. And when we did,
oh, you mean Fauci?
Yeah, drunk with power. Like this is gonna be probably examined as one of the most intense political influenced hoaxes, or not really. I guess hoax might be a strong word, but I'd say politically influenced event. Think about 25 to 50 years from now when they're looking back and like just how it was responded to, the hype, the chaos, the fear mongering.
The fear mongering. So here's another quick little tidbit. Buddy of mine's mom just wasn't feeling good. This is just a couple weeks ago. I'm just getting over it. And he swings by and he's in his mid-30s, bulletproof, single man, blah, blah, blah. He's, doing what every single guy does. And he's sitting at my kitchen table. He's like, you over? I said, yeah, I'm over. I haven't had a fever in 4 or 5 days. If you want to swing by, swing by. And he swings by where BS, and he looks down his phone and he gets a text message from his mother. Says, I have COVID-19. And he was just there a couple of days before that. And he's like, I said, did she get a test? And he goes, I don't know. I said, you need to find out. So she walks into 3-4 days go by. He finally gets the details from what happened. She walks into their doctor's office, wasn't feeling good. They take in a room. They take your temperature. You got a temperature. You got the classic signs of blah, 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 COVID-19. Go home. She never got a test. Ever. She's a presumed case. Never got a test. And gave her information. The county called her, did everything. And she gave it out. Now, she's a little more left-leaning than I am. She gave out everything. Her son, my friend, he gets emails daily now from the county trying to track and trace and blah, blah, blah. He said it's endless. Every day I get the same email and they want to know if I'm okay and they want to know this and they want to know that. And I'm like, your mother is okay with it? She gave your private information out without your knowledge? He goes, evidently. I said, this. So I'm not the only one.
No, and she sounds like, I don't have confirmation of this, but it sounds like she got put in the Rona bucket without ever having a positive test.
She did. She got put in a Rona bucket. 24 hours later, she was perfectly fine. She's never shown a symptom again. So
one must ask how often that has happened already.
Well, anytime you want to pad statistics, you just got to give a bigger swath, right?
Yeah. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics, as some are fond of saying.
Other side of that little deal, a couple of the buddies that I talked to that I was around let them know, and they said, well, hell, I ain't getting a test. I'm not going to be a statistic. I don't want to be a part of this.
There you go.
And I'm like, yeah, I get it. I didn't want to either. I just thought, well, I kind of feel a little shitty. I probably ought to do my part and just, do the right thing. They said, only time I'm ever going to get a test if I'm in the hospital on my deathbed. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, interesting.
So,
yeah, that's a great point. Is like, I can't blame him for that response either. Like,
well, who wants to be tracked? Who wants
none
to
of
go
us want to
through
be any more in the system than we already are, for sure.
Yeah.
Quote unquote, the system. Yeah. So they're like, I'm just going to isolate anyways, and if I feel sick, I'll do something about it. Until then, pound sand. Yeah, I'm not doing any of that. So.
Yeah, not both the guys that go. Well, one of two guys that called said, "No, we're not getting the test. Not happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if I'm sick. I'll get over it. Fine. If I get in the hospital, then I'll get a test because they're going to make me have one. But until then, I'm not worried about it."
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit of a there's a groundswell in some places of people that aren't really nobody likes being a statistic and being a pincushion for anything, and well, most people don't, I should say.
Well, some people have this strange desire to be taken care of, like giant baby syndrome almost.
Yeah.
I still think once that takes away something that they think's sacred or they really enjoy, it'll hit them hard even sooner. But most of us just appreciate the general freedom to be left the hell alone and stay out of my kitchen. And some people don't see that.
Turns out there's 73 million people that want to be taken care of.
Yeah. I ain't got time. I got to go to work.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't help myself. But
yeah.
Well, what is that doing then? It's not slowing the spread. It's not slowing anything. One of those guys went to a Halloween party 2 days later. Because he's like, I'm not sick. I don't feel sick. I'm not going to worry about it. And that's how we've always done it.
I was just going to say, like, prior to this idiocy, we handled it the exact same way. Because it's not like we landed here yesterday, we took our helmets off and like, oh shit, there's stuff floating around the air that makes us sick. Go back, stay away. It's been happening for pretty much ever. It's gonna keep happening. Like, people get all amped up and like, we got a vaccine for this particular strain for this week.
You and I both know, coming from the agriculture background, we all know vaccines aren't 100%, never have been 100%.
Never will be. No.
Yeah. And it's a virus. And if vaccines worked 100%, why do we have to get a booster? And in that case, if the vaccines worked really well, why is the flu still a problem? So, any given year, it's 30 to 60% success rate. So you could flip that on its head and say any given year, 70% of the people, doesn't matter. They're going to, the vaccine didn't work. And so, in the cattle business, there's this theory, and it's been around forever, of a 60-40, a 70-30, and 80-20. I don't care. We'll go with the 70-30 policy that you give a calf a vaccine, 30% of those calves their body will never react to it, never even know they got a vaccine.
Yeah.
So that's why you booster. And that's why you keep going, hoping to get those ones that their body never recognized that they were infected, and a small amount.
The second time.
So the second time or the third time, or however the protocol is for whatever you're doing. So everybody kind of thinks, this, what's this, Pfizer, Moderna, and whatever else company, 90, 95. It's a race for who gets the biggest number. Pfizer was 90. Then so-and-so came out the next day with 90, 93%. And then, we're 95. I'm like, oh, good God. Because it's a gold mine.
Absolutely.
It's a giant gold mine.
And I have several people ask me, hey, you're going to get the vaccine? I'm like, only if I'm dead and they pump it in my body afterwards. I've never got a flu shot, to my knowledge. Now, all full disclosure, I was in the military, went through boot camp, and you walk down that line with the guns and it's hitting your both shoulders. And I might have anthrax for all I know, for God's sake. Yeah. And then, of course, I was, malaria pill Wednesday when I was in South America. But to my knowledge, I've never actively gone and seeked out a flu shot. I don't plan on it. Some people, I think a lot of people just take comfort in that. And congratulations. Well, good. Now feel better. Go rock on. Absolutely rock on. I couldn't be happier for you. If that makes you comfortable to get it, couldn't be happier for you. But there's no way in hell, if you have to have proof of a vaccine to get on an airplane, bicycle time, because there's no way I'm ever doing that. Sorry.
Well, that's just it. So the flu vaccine, I don't get, not for any particular reason, because I'm not a non-vaxxer. I just get busy and forget about it. I got shit to do.
Most of the time.
My kids get it. They get it because of school. And I get that. It's a cesspool of, 1,000 kids walking around. I kind of get some of that. My kids have all got vaccines. We got vaccinated as kids. We pretty much got rid of polio until our friends south of the border brought it back to us. But again, vaccines don't fix everything. And everybody wants to hang out and go, we got this vaccine. This is going to save the world. No, it's
A
not.
magic bullet. Even like my buddy of mine's a vet, and he always talks about Bruce Banks.
Yeah, Banks.
It's only like 65%, effective overall. We've pretty much eliminated it for the most part due to just our processes and what we do. But so nothing's ever 100% because this stuff's alive and it's always changing.
It's always changing, and that's where this terminology, and you and I both know, being in the in the agriculture and livestock sector, herd immunity.
Absolutely.
They say you got to get 70% of the people in this country to get herd immunity. Okay, fine. That's perfectly fine with me. Goal. If 70% of them want to do it, go do it. Who am I to tell them how to live their life?
And vice versa, I believe is the term. Yeah.
It's none of my damn business if they want to get it. And that's one of the funny questions. I've had this question when people find out I get COVID. I've had COVID. Well, where do you think you got it? And I look at them and go, what do you think? They walk around with bright orange hair and says, look at me, I got COVID-19. How the hell would I know? Well, well, how do you think you got it? I'm like, it's a virus.
How do you get a cold every year? Do you ever pin it back to like, damn it, Steve? No, I got I've got a cold or I've got the flu. Like
it blows my mind. Some of those
every year. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, what's that comedian, not Jeff Foxworthy, the other guy, where this,
Ron White or Bill Engvall or Larry.
Bill Engvall.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got a flat no, the other three tires just swelled
right up. Well, the heat'll do that, Yeah,
you shake your head. You're like,
here's your sign.
Some of the thought processes anymore, it blows my mind. And people, you go to a convenience store or a private business, and in Oregon, you have to put on, when they're open, we're shut down again, and Kate Brown's getting a lot of pushback and lawsuits and so forth.
So.
But yeah, they're coming after her now, and they're going to take it as far as they can. But you can walk in the door with a mask on and sit at a table, take your mask off. And now you're protected?
Nobody thinks that's stupid? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, wait a second. Now, if I get up, take a leak because I had too many beers, I got to put a mask on. People are living in this false sense of security.
Well, fear and false sense of security about this little, security blanket over your face.
Yeah. And you can find science on both sides, whether the mask works or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, all about how you want to perceive it. But again, the businesses out here that chose not to hang up 14 million signs on the door in the beginning of this have all been turned in multiple times, and they are forced to comply. And I don't know where this ends. That's the scary thing.
Well, yeah, because if I don't feel safe, I'm not going to go in your store.
Yeah.
But I obviously feel safe, so I'm going to go shop there. So that should be what keeps it open or not. Because the minute they started this essential business versus non, my hair was about 19 feet in the air, and I'm like, it's a business.
How would you like to be labeled non-essential? But
yeah.
How would you like to be labeled non-essential?
Yeah, enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah, because if the left side of the world hates labels. You can't. We can't do this. You can't. Everybody's the same, gender neutral, blah blah blah.
Until that's their whole point is to put everybody in a different bucket. Yeah.
Yeah. And now we just labeled a segment of society non-essential. Really?
Yeah. And they fell for it.
And I think people, I don't know. I shake my head, and in the community and the people I deal with, we all think the same. Of course,
mostly,
birds of a feather flock together. I mean, it's a pretty standard thing. I mean, we have our differences, but they're minute. And I just had a buddy of mine was coming up to do some construction work for a ranch I was dealing with, and he's like, "Holy crap, we got a call." He goes, "Typical." He gets a call. I was just told I was possibly infected by COVID-19 on the 10th, and he's like, I got work to do. I said, hey, calm down. Take a breath, buddy.
Go do it.
Go get a test. Go get a test. Solves the problem right then and there. Oh, yeah. I'm like, I thought you might have been a little more clear thinker. But that's what I'm talking about. Back to inundated. And they start to go, oh, God. I'm like, go get a test. What's it cost? I said, I don't care. What's it worth to you? I mean.
I still not anybody that got tested positive and instantly burst into flames and died that day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not yet. They might be out there. Obviously, I can't talk to them if they have, but that's been my point since about 7 days in. It's like, I don't like the fact that anybody dies, but A, we all do because nobody's getting off this son of a bitch alive. But B, like, it's not a death sentence at all. Not even remotely. Like, honestly, I'm going to die of diabetes or something else way before I probably die of the Rona, dude. Like, look how we live. Like all of us, man. Like, there's all these other health concerns that are way more impactful than what we're freaking out about right now.
Nobody's died of heart disease
because there's no money in it. Is that what you're saying? Like, you can't sell me a fat cure or a Mandate?
Exactly. Yeah, if they could sell a fat cure, I'd have bought it a long time ago. But
well, that's your choice, though, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. But in my choice, my hard-earned money. But I that's what I'm, you know, with this lull and this false sense of security of this vaccine and this potential, and, you know, now that I've had it, you know, quote unquote, I got 4 to 6 months and I shouldn't be able to get it again. Well, I mean, as data comes along, as things come along, that all changes. Yeah, I don't.
It's gonna be a different strain. Like, we get the flu the next year. Like, it's not like you get it once and then you're done. That would be cool.
Yeah, I wish, but you know, I get sick every year because I get booger pickers. They bring home crap. I get sick once, maybe twice a year, and go on with the day.
Yeah,
I just think that, you know, in the end, people have been so willing to give up so much of their personal freedoms and not realize what's really going on. And so that, to circle back a little bit, I'm going to see if an attorney wants to take this on and the HIPAA deal, because something's wrong here. And,
I would agree.
you know,
and I certainly ask you too to keep us informed here.
Yeah.
So we can help, if your attorney's with it, to give some updates or tell that story. Because I think that's, for this case alone, it's very important to keep up on top of that for something that might come along next. We always talk about these slippery slopes, and some people laugh, and other people who've been down that slope or seen it already, they go, you should listen, you should watch. I've met some folks from Venezuela a couple of weeks ago that were like, holy guys, keep your eyes open. Like, and we've seen
how
these
did Hitler
things.
kill 6 million Jews?
And one at a time. Yeah.
How did he get them to disarm?
Exactly.
I mean,
these templates are there. Like, if you're going to go after some guns, why don't you go get them from the criminals first? And then you might have my attention. Until then, please pounce in promptly. Okay. That's a whole other covered conversation for another podcast.
Another topic.
But like, I ain't buying it. Yeah. So, you know, just saying. But
history is bound to repeat itself if you don't pay attention.
And that's why it's not taught much in school anymore. Neither is that of your basic rights about what the Constitution really means and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So, we'll have to have the By God's Civil Rights podcast next time. Yeah. It's
We'll get to that, but I'll keep you in a loop. I'll find out if I can get, you know, I don't need some ambulance chasing attorney to go after for $5,000 or something. But
it's more about the principle involved of the process that went on and what's happened now, and most importantly, how to get a handle on this for the next time. For, you know, it might be another public health outbreak, but what's to make it, to stop them from going into a different realm of our lives based on what they've done already? Pretty much nothing. So.
Yeah, if you look at other viruses and other things, and even with AIDS, we don't do this.
Precisely.
We don't.
Not to my knowledge, anyways. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
we don't do the strictest confidence. You know, like that's why you can't, like, if you ever interviewed somebody, you can hardly even ask them anything about you can't ask them anything about their personal life. Like, they might have HIV, they might have God knows what. Guess what? It's none of our damn business. You know.
Correct.
And I totally agree with that. Like, none of my damn business, you know. So
and that's where I'm like, you know, I was like, this has got to stop. Somebody's got to say something. And leave it to one fat kid in Central Oregon to go, let me see if I can find and talk to an attorney that maybe can either enlighten me on it and say, no, actually, she's got the right to do that, or no, she can't do that, and we need to take this forward. Mm-hmm. I mean, one step at a time. You got to see what happens. You can't just sit around and eat crayons and sing Kumbaya. So
I don't know the words, but yeah. And the purple ones don't taste like grape either. It's really disappointing. So,
I know it. Dang it.
I'm actually kind of glad they didn't. Yeah, we'd be shitting.
I'll keep you in the loop. I'll keep you up to date if anything happens from it.
I do appreciate all your time today, being so forthright and open about what you've gone through and what you're doing now, and all those things. And so I think it's good for everybody to hear.
Yeah, and all your listeners, they don't need to panic if they get tested positive. It's not a death sentence. Yeah. They don't need to freak out and quarantine themselves in the basement in the dark with the mushrooms growing on the ceiling. I mean, it just doesn't work. Some people are going to die. I mean, it's proven fact. Again, people need to realize it's not a death sentence. It's not something, it affects everybody differently. Do we have an older population that have compromised systems that need to be handled a little differently? Yeah, but that's their choice.
And
That's
we've been
not-
doing that for years already.
Yeah.
Again, I go back to my previous statement. This is not the first time something in the air has made us tip over. This
Yeah.
is a long-standing tradition of battling through this and throwing it over
Yeah.
our shoulder and keep moving on. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll get through it.
We
We'll
will.
get through it. And the strong will survive and the weak won't. I mean, and that's either, I'm not talking strong backed or I'm more strong minded. And
we're screwed then.
it'll
But,
happen.
yeah.
It'll all happen. We'll be good. I'll keep you posted. You know, I'll let you know if anything happens. But you know, like I said, we're pretty much a month out into this, and
Yeah.
I'm as normal could be for me.
Well, the baseline might be in question, but I think after no additional factors. So, yeah, Kyle, thank you so much for coming on today. Thanks for telling what you got going on and asking you to keep us up to date. And we'll look forward to talking to you again soon.
Sounds good, buddy. You behave yourself. Enjoy Florida.
Awesome. Thank you much.